Necrons today, first time on the channel, and I'm playing as Jack and his Eldar, hopefully get him off my Tomb World.
Alright, hi, I'm Jack, and I'm obviously back on the channel again.
Yeah, trying to go for two extremes, either Wooden Spoon or Smashing Jack, either's good.
Welcome back to Game 2 of the Barnyard Bat-Rep Beatdown. As mentioned, today's game is between Jack and Ben. The Drukhari found a nasty surprise waiting for them on Pavonis, a march of aggressive Necrons ready to surround and destroy. Surround and Destroy just happens to be today's mission. There will be 6 objectives on the battlefield, and players will score 5 points for holding 1, 10 points for holding 2, and another 5 points for holding more than their opponent in their command phase. Here is your fortnightly update on your favorite players in the tournament. Don't forget you can go and vote below. Also remember to go and check out our sponsors, particularly the Tray Tinker, who supplied us with this lovely gaming tray to see who goes first.
Cool. Fuck you.
I'm going second, that's good.
Oh yeah, I don't get a choice there.
Yeah. Alright, so the secondaries I've decided to take are Engage on All Fronts, Deploy Scramblers, and Assassinate. I really like Engage on All Fronts for everything Eldar. That's always what they've been good at, is scattering the board. Deploy Scramblers is pretty easy with the list. You have the Court of the Archon, which is small infantry models, sit and scramble. The third one's a bit rough, Assassinate. I didn't really have a good option that I like. One of the weird things about this game is I do have to kill Rigby's Catans pretty quickly, and if I don't, I'm going to kind of lose anyway, so I might as well make that my game plan and score points from that.
From the secondaries, I'm taking Treasures of Aeons, bring it down, and Deploy Scramblers. Taking Treasure of Aeons, because just kind of easy, just have to grab one objective and get 10 points. Taking Deploy Scramblers, because got a couple things that can kind of get over there. I'm taking Bring It Down because I'm bad at the game and can't figure out anything else.
We start off this game with a rather quick turn from Ben. After moving up his entire army except for his Satans, due to his custom ability trait before the game begins, Ben takes a rapid forward push onto the middle objective. As part of his secondary called Treasures of Aeons, Jack has to select 3 objectives that Ben then needs to hold for extra points, and he chooses objectives 4, 5, and 6. Naturally, Ben rushes forwards onto these points. In fact, he tries to advance onto one of them using his Satan shard and rolls a 2. With a reroll coming out, Jack decides to pop in as well with a Vex so that he can't reroll it.
Still your CP.
Oh.
Amazingly, he also rolls a 6 to steal Ben's CP in the process. He then keeps one of the CP spent, thinking that Ben would get extra points for holding that objective, forgetting that he only gets points for holding 4, 5, and 6. With those Satan too far away to do any damage with their nasty Satan powers, we jump into the shooting phase. Some crazy rolls here as Ben aims down the board with 2 Doomsday Arcs into one of Jack's Ravagers. As it's the only visible target, Jack spends yet another 2 CP to make it -1 to hit, which doesn't matter at all to Ben, as each Doomsday Arc manages an astonishing 6 damage. Luckily for Jack, he gets those pesky 6+ Feel No Pain rolls from being Blackheart and manages to deny 3 of them, leaving him on just 1 wound remaining.
I have 3 CP.
Oh!
With only 1 Doomsday left to shoot, it goes into a Venom on the other side of the board and completely whiffs, closing out Ben's turn on the charge phase. The Wraiths on the right hand side of the board charge into the exact same Venom and manage to get through 4 wounds, doing 2 damage each. Unluckily for Ben though, Jack has deviously made all of his Venoms -1 damage from the Artists of Flesh trait, reducing those 8 wounds to just 4.
Save 1. 4 damage.
2 damage each.
4 damage.
Oh, fuck right.
Yes.
The turn quickly ends with Lilith heroically intervening onto the Wraiths as well, and giving her best, only to be denied by the Wraith's 4+ invulnerable save. At the beginning of Jack's turn, his army exploded onto the board, expanding just about everywhere he could to deny space for potential deep strikes and setting up charges for next turn. The Reavers, Talos, and Venoms moved up, except for the one that was in combat who dropped its troops onto the point to hold it and then fell back. And the Ravager, now on 1 wound, limped over towards the center. To start off the shooting phase, a smattering of small arms firepower lit up the Wraiths for a few wounds. Grenades, Splinter, and blasters unloaded into the Scarabs in the middle, removing just enough of them to have only 2 remaining. Even after Ben miraculously saved 1 with reanimation.
Yes! Wow.
With the Cryptek now exposed, the wounded Ravager lined him up and disintegrated him on the spot. To follow that up, some Heat Lancers from the Talos were fired into a Doomsday to do absolutely nothing, and the rest of Jack's firepower went into the Scarabs on the left flank, only doing a few wounds. Leading swiftly onto the charge, Jack decided to play quite safe, not allowing Ben to slingshot either of his Satan forwards with charges, and stayed where he was. Except for one potential charge onto the Doomsday on the left side, which failed, even with a reroll.
Alright, so turn 1 went a little worse than I expected it to, but it's still pretty fine. I took a bit more damage on the Ravager than I wanted to. I did what I needed to. I killed the Scarabs. I kind of got him off one of his objectives. He still does have a lot of threats. The Catan are untouched, which is a little scary and problematic, but we'll see how next turn goes.
Jack, get the fuck off my lawn. I was kind of hoping on getting the second turn, but it didn't go as planned, so Catan kind of did nothing this turn. But it's still untouched, which is all good. Got a bit lucky with the turn 1 charge, managed to get the 2 objectives that I needed for my secondary points. Yeah, lost a character and some Scarabs. Bit disappointing, but I kind of let that happen. That was on me.
Don't worry, Necron fans, you heard right. Ben did spend the CP to revive his Cryptek, however he did fail to get back up and was destroyed. At the end of turn 1, Ben scored a total of 3 points, all from Treasures of Aeons, and spent 5 command points to do so. While Jack gained 6 points, 3 for Assassinate and another 3 for Engage on all fronts, spending a total of 6 command points along the way. Ben scores a total of 10 victory points at the start of his round 2. So let's see what he can do. Starting off battle round 2 with a bang, right after Ben had finished moving up onto the table, capping points and bringing in 2 of his 4 Crypto Thralls, he led with those nasty Satan powers. The very first one to go was Time's Arrow into Jack's Haemonculus.
So on 5 or 6, he just dies.
Good gameplay.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
What?
And with a roll of a 6, he was instantly removed as if he'd never existed. The other Satan powers managed a total of 5 wounds onto the Venom on the right hand side and 3 onto a unit of Talos on the left. Before moving on, the Veil of Darkness was also used to allow Ben to deploy Scramblers in the midboard and give him some more treasures points. Pulling us over to the shooting phase where Ben had, let's just say, less of a fantastic time. Although his small arms fire managed to bring down the Venom and all its witches on the right hand side of the board from the side sponsons of the Doomsdays, the main cannons fired into the Ravager on 1 wound. Over.
1 shot.
Oh, that's all he needs.
Misses.
And over.
2 shots.
Oh, come on, don't.
2 hits.
Yep. You said
1
it.
wound.
Yep.
And over again.
Nice.
And despite it being on 1 wound,
2.
No.
You don't.
I'll roll it on.
Oh.
Yeah, come on.
Fucking try.
it took no damage at all from all 3. Luckily, Ben still had the charge phase to go, where the Nightbringer finally made contact. The Scarabs on the left went in against the other bikes, and the Wraiths clambered into the Cabalites and Lilith again. Safe to say that Nightbringer made very quick work of those 3 bikes, however the Scarabs were less lucky. And finally, Jack spent another 2 command points to make those Wraiths hit on 5s, of which they hit none at all. They then got hit back by Lilith.
Lilith will attack. So she gets 4 extra hits.
And all the Cabalites, killing 3 of them and giving Jack the point for his turn 2. Not a great turn for Ben and the Necrons. Jack rockets forward in his turn, attempting to shut down the rest of Ben's shooting along with those points as well. With little else to do except fill Ben full of poison, the infantry fall back from the wraiths and they are quickly disintegrated. The second Ravager, still on 1 wound, kills a single immortal and then fire and fades behind the obscuring terrain, only to watch them be splintered to death by one of Jack's Venoms. The Cryptek is sadly also not long for this world, as another Venom and its payload fill him full of Splinter as well. Luckily for Ben, his Doomsdays are shot by a few Heat Lancers and a Blaster, which all do nothing, alongside some very lucky Scarabs who still have an Invon from the Cryptek at the beginning of this round.
Yeah!
I'm just charging now, like, what?
However, the luck doesn't last long and is quickly ripped away by some Chain-Flails as the Scarabs are torn asunder. And although they are the only ones, the unfortunate Doomsdays are locked in combat by Venoms and Talos, and 2 out of 3 of them will be entirely useless next turn. To rub salt into Ben's wounds, his poor Cryptek dies in exactly the same place as his brother before him, and doesn't get back up either. Rough.
Well, that was a much better turn too. So obviously Rigby got a bit unlucky across the board. The Wraiths failed, the Doomsday Arcs failed. I got to swing back for some damage. Twice now he's tried to reanimate his Cryptex. They've both failed, so now I've picked up the assassinate points there. Yeah, I'm in a good position. All this stuff's tied up and he's running out of models.
Yeah, overall not a great turn. Got a bit unlucky, made some mistakes as well. Hoping that'll work out better next turn, but I'm starting to lose models, and all I really have left is some Doomsday Arcs to maneuver around and get objectives with, so big yikes. Got 3 turns left to play.
At the end of round 2, Ben had spent a total of 3 command points and used it to gain 13 points this round, bringing him up to a total of 16, whilst Jack used 4 command points this round to gain another 21 points on top of his 6 to leave him safely on 27. At the beginning of round 3, Ben only holds 1 objective for 5 points, so let's see who is surrounded and destroyed. Ben's round 3 begins with those trusty Satan powers. Time's Arrow lashes out once again to wipe the universe clean of one of those pesky Reavers. Additional mortal wounds are piled onto one of the units of Talos, leaving one of them on just 1 wound remaining, and Ben spends a CP to cast another random power.
Cosmic Fire.
Oh, it's Time's Arrow.
Yeah! Kill a bike.
Bike.
Which ends up being Time's Arrow yet again to snipe out the final one of those bikers. With literally only 1 unit to shoot, one of the 3 Doomsdays, Ben declares the main gun into the wounded Venom in the backboard, and the side guns into the closer Venom, killing the first and doing 5 wounds to the second, leaving it on just 1. After much discussion about Ben's plans for the future, he decides to charge into the Talos with the Satan Shard. Jack attempts a cheeky overwatch with Heat Lancers, and thankfully misses everything. The Nightbringer sadly fails a charge which Ben does not reroll, and then decides to spend his final CP on ignoring invulnerable saves on the Venom and Talos. Splitting his attacks, he unfortunately rolls a 2 for the damage on the Venom.
2 damage. It's enough.
-1.
No, it's -1 damage.
Oh, fuck.
And you don't have CP.
Which was on 2 wounds, meaning it only takes 1 and survives, and manages to roll Cypher kills against those Talos for wounds.
Nice.
Triple
Whiffle, whiffle, whiff.
Cypher kill.
Cypher kills is what we call a 111, because back in the day, Cypher, the fallen Dark Angel character, had a 4+ unmodifiable save, which he took on 3 dice. Nasty. Unlucky for Ben, those Talos hit back hard and definitely scratched those 3 wounds off the Satan. With little threats left for Jack, his turn begins with his troops jumping towards the middle of the board and his Venoms and Talos capping the back points. The first shots fired are from the wounded Ravager, who watches 2 Crypto Thralls shrug off the disintegration. Quickly retreating back behind cover again for another CP, Jack swiftly moves onto the Venom on the back right, which unloads everything it has into those poor Scarabs in front of it, killing off 2 bases and wounding another. Those terrifying Heat Lancers then shred off another 3 wounds from the Satan on the left, and even worse for Ben, the other 2 Talos managed to get 2 wounds through on his Doomsday. After a reroll, Jack very kindly leaves it with just 1 wound left from an 11 damage hit. Some small arms fire from Cabalites also luckily strips away another 3 wounds from the poor Nightbringer, and we move onto the charge phase. As I'm sure you can guess by this point, the 2 units of Talos go in against the boat and the Satan and clean them right up with their Chain-Flails as poor Ben watches on in horror. The final nail in the coffin was over on the right hand side of the board as Jack charges his Venom into the Scarabs, which managed to hit back, killing the Venom. This allows Jack to unload his troops onto the point and deny Ben yet another 5 points in the next round. With only the Nightbringer, 2 Doomsdays, and 4 Thralls left, it's looking a little like the Dark Eldar know how to surround and destroy a bit better.
Look, turn 3 is looking really, really good at this point. I kind of got to do my favorite thing with Venoms and just move them around, have them blow up. Some cute little tricks. Taking out one of the Katanas huge, that kind of alleviates the mortal wound pressure. So the game's looking good at the moment. I mean, there's still a Nightbringer on the table, there's still 2 Doomsday arcs. I'm not out the woods yet, but I'm feeling a lot more confident.
Yeah, another not so good turn for me. I can only deploy Scramblers, lost a bunch of units. Bit unlucky with the Doomsday arc, but yeah, it happens. Yeah, losing the Katana was unfortunate. Yeah, I think there's like some stuff I can do. I can move Doomsday arcs, but yeah, game's kind of a bit done.
In turn 3, Ben spent a total of 3 command points to leave him on 0 in order to gain 10 more victory points, whilst Jack also spent 3 command points, leaving him on 0 as well to gain a whopping 26 points this round, leaving him on 53 points. To start off Ben's round 4, he will only get another 5 points for holding 1 objective. After witnessing turns 1, 2, and 3, I'm sure you can see where this game is heading, and so these final 2 turns will be a quick summary. With the addition of some Grotesques in Jack's turn 3 on his back objective, and only Thralls, Scarabs, and 2 boats left, Ben is going to do what he can do to maximize the points he can get in this tournament. Starting by moving the Doomsday onto Jack's back point with the objective secured to give Ben more treasures points. The Scarabs take the middle while the Thralls hold the back point and watch on as the Nightbringer throws a meteor at Jack's 1 wound Ravager, finally killing it. The Doomsdays annihilate the units of Cabalite warriors they're next to by flaying them alive, and Ben also has an attempt at killing Jack's other Ravager but only manages 2 wounds through with his Doomsdays, leaving him with the charge phase.
Wounds.
Oh. Sure, test it.
Actually it's 2.
Fuck off.
Where the Doomsday sacrifices 6 of its wounds to Lilith in order to give Ben some extra points, and the Nightbringer sadly fails his charge onto the Talos in front of him, even using Ben's last command point. As we move on to Jack's turn 4, where that fresh Ravager decides to disintegrate those poor Scarabs. That unit of Talos chucked 3 wounds from Heat Lancers into the Nightbringer, only to charge him later on, along with the Wracks to bring him down to just 1 wound. He hits back, killing both of those Talos for those extra Bring It Down points, and the Doomsday is reduced to just 2 wounds, remaining by Grotesques and Lilith.
Alright, well the Drukhari prevailed. That was a really interesting game. I'm happy with how the game went. I'm happy with how I played it. Obviously, if you roll 6 up, feel no pains at the right time, you're just good at the game. Hopefully that same tactic carries me further in the next games.
Kind of disappointed. Hoping that if I didn't win, I would have just bottomed out and gotten last in the tournament. But obviously that didn't happen because Jackson's just such a shit player. I can't believe that guy. Not being able to get Scramblers was a bit annoying. Maybe I could have taken something else. Yeah, it was a fun game, but didn't go my way.
Before I show you the final scores, I'm just going to remind you to subscribe down below. It's free and you can always unsubscribe later. We're just about to pass 1,000 subscribers, so please join us down below. If you are feeling really generous, you can also support us on Patreon for as little as $3 a month, which is currently Ben, George, Connor, and Julie. If you would like to chat to any of the team, you can do so by joining our free Discord server down below. Don't forget to check out our sponsors as well if you're in the market for terrain, trays, mats, or even your own self-portrait. Verlandel over on Twitter has just made us another 2 artworks for our cameraman Varan and terrain builder Liam, so go check her out. Please also go and vote for your favorite player down below. We have 2 more quarterfinal games to go before we reach the semi-finals, and the players are eager to see your support. Vote for me, I'm trying to beat Matt. But finally, for the results of this game, in the last 2 turns, Ben gained 15 points for primary, 5 more for Treasures of Aeons, and 4 more for Bring It Down for an additional 24, plus his painted points to leave him on 60 total points, beating my score of 48, putting him in 5th place overall currently for the tournament. Whereas Jack scored another 20 points on his primaries, 5 for engage in all fronts, and another 3 for assassinate, for another 28 points, plus his 10 painted, leaving him on 91 points total, which was only 1 away from the highest score possible with those secondaries. The unfortunate Necrons have been culled back into the holes they crawled out of, and Jack moves on to the semi-finals. Stay tuned for the next game in 2 weeks' time, and otherwise, from all of us here at Barnyard Wargaming, thanks for watching, and peace.